Right, everyone. Hey, guys, it's Paradise. I got 2.6 with me, and as you can see, we're just about to jump into the presentation. 2.6, PlayStation 5 Pro.
Very, very good.
Hi,
Very
I'm
good.
Mark
Let's
Cerny.
go. Mark,
I'm
I haven't seen him in
excited to be here
years.
to talk about the newest addition to our
Are
console,
you actually live?
PlayStation 5
I'm
Pro,
live.
and how
Says
it
I am.
advances gaming technology. But first, I want to take just a minute to look at what we put in the original PlayStation 5 and how it delivers an exceptional game.
All right, let's see this.
We're looking back in time first. You know, we're getting that. So, guys, by the way, we are obviously Monster Hunter fans here to see what's up with the new PS5.
8 Zen 2 CPU cores form the brains of PlayStation 5 and enable high-speed complex gameplay, with character counts reaching into the hundreds and frame rates that can be as high as 120 frames a second.
Not in every game, there.
GPU, which can render anything from intricate details to fantastic worlds with vast panoramas to explore. Ray tracing allows for dramatic visual improvements, including reflections off of water or glass, and the realism that comes from real-time global illumination.
Avatar.
Custom SSD.
Oh, the Ratchet and Clank get. Yeah, I was just gonna say this game was like so good. I want to play it again.
I feel like it really felt like a next-gen game when you were playing it. It looked good and it was like cool.
Yeah, and just had like actual like new mechanics and stuff in it.
Tempest 3D audio tech brings an unparalleled sense of immersion to the sound of the games. With audio so real, you may not even need to see the enemies to know exactly where.
Did you play Returnal?
A little bit, not a lot, but a little bit enough to like understand the game.
Let you feel through your hands what your character is experiencing inside of the game.
I think that's one of the best things that they introduced was the controller. Like, the controller does like a lot, like with the triggers that like locked.
And like Astrobot like using everything on the controller was just nuts.
The dreams of the developers are bigger than can be supported at 60 frames per second, and that leads to an aspect of modern gaming that we're all familiar with: graphics modes. It can be a difficult choice for players. Fidelity modes emphasize the visuals, typically through higher resolution rendering.
Gee, look how good this game was.
Enhanced detail or use more ray tracing. But the games only run at 30 frames per second.
We all play performance mode.
30 frames.
Performance modes emphasize frame rate and interactivity.
Yeah, that's where you gotta be.
60 frames per second.
Howdy.
Hello, everyone. Welcome.
Mainly by reducing the graphical detail until those frame rates can be achieved. When asked to decide on a mode, players are choosing performance about 3/4 of the time.
Wow, that's a nice stat to have.
Or at least narrowing that divide is one of the key targets for PlayStation 5 Pro. We want to give players the graphics that the game creators aspire to, at the high frame rates that players typically prefer.
Wait, 75% of the time they choose in performance mode.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Improves over PlayStation 5 in 3 ways. Here's what we call the Big 3. First,
Big
we made
3.
the GPU much larger and increased the speed of the memory it uses. The result is rendering that's up to 45% faster.
That's a pretty good, respectable increase.
Major upgrades to the ray tracing, taking a streamlined and accelerated approach that allows calculation of the rays at double or even triple the speeds of PlayStation 5. And finally, we added custom hardware for machine learning and an AI library called PlayStation Spectral.
They got the AI chip in there.
PSSR for
There
short.
it is.
PSSR analyzes the game images pixel by pixel and can add an extraordinary amount of detail, which boosts the effective resolution of the games.
Oh, it's got the upscaling thing. That's cool.
Adding PS5 Pro support to new and existing titles. And with the Big 3 involved, the results can be pretty amazing, with graphics showing something like fidelity levels of detail, but at double the frame rate. Here's The Last of Us Part 2 running on PS5 Pro. It has
Wait, with double the frame rate, it said?
It's a super smooth 60 frames per second.
Wow.
60 FPS Last of Us 2?
The fidelity mode on PS5, which is only running
It's actually is smoother.
and is therefore much choppier.
It's so wait, actual 60 FPS fidelity mode.
Yeah. Versus a 30.
Oh, it looks so bad when you put them side. Like the old fidelity mode looks so bad side by side.
In terms of frame rate, the graphics.
In frame rate, yeah.
Doubling the power of PlayStation 5. Another way to compare the two consoles is to look at PS5 Pro versus Performance mode on PS5, both of which target 60 frames per second. What we see here is a difference in detail. PS5 Pro is much sharper and crisper than PS5. For this, my favorite is the parade scene from Ratchet & Clank. Distant details are much clearer. And here we can see Marvel's Spider-Man 2 is noticeably higher resolution throughout the scene, including the trees and procedural cars.
Less flickering.
If you can get 60 FPS on fidelity mode on Pro, why would you want to play performance though?
On PS5 Pro,
Maybe you get even more frames. You get 120 FPS.
This is the big three showing their value. As you've been seeing, machine learning via the PSSR library is being used quite broadly to add pixel detail and boost frame rate.
This is what we needed for Monster Hunter Wilds.
There are game engines. The increase in raw GPU power is being especially effective for Horizon.
You don't see the difference?
West.
You sure you got
Apart
it on
from
like
the
60
detail boost,
FPS
that extra
on your
graphics
YouTube
power
settings?
is allowing for improvements to lighting and
Sure you got a
visual
60
effects.
FPS screen?
I can tell. I mean, if people don't, I tell you, there's a
As well
difference.
as the care
I don't know.
and cinematics.
Open up, guys. Jorv's orders.
Good enough for me.
You can only tell if you zoom in.
Okay, look. Remember as well, when you're watching something, the frames aren't as noticeable as when you're playing something. So being able to have that 60 in fidelity and playing it is going to be massively different.
Allowing Gran Turismo 7 to add ray-traced reflections between the cars in gameplay, while continuing to support their targeted 60 frames per second.
Wow, I saw the reflection
That
of
boost
the
in
car.
ray tracing is also delivering big wins for Hogwarts Legacy,
Oh,
allowing not only for better reflections and a greater variety of reflective
might be time for a
surfaces, but
replay.
also for further realism in the casting of shadows. I hope you've enjoyed this run-through of the technology behind PlayStation 5 Pro. Simply put, it's the most powerful console we've ever built, and a worthy addition to the PS5 family. Let me wrap this up by giving you a quick look at a number of games running on the new console.
I better have Monster Hunter Wilds. Gotta be in here, right? Oh, here we go.
This is the actual console itself.
That's it. Yeah. It's got the fins on the sides. Wait, do you have the disc version as well, though?
Probably not. Maybe they got rid of the disc.
Is there literally no disc version?
Hey! Rebirth,
Ooh.
coated game. Game of the year.
Horizon is looking visually really good as well. Obviously.
Every time I
Last
see
of Us.
Last of Us, like, I just love this game.
Yo, Demon Souls! Such a good game. Ratchet & Clank. Obviously. This will become a classic, I think.
Alan Wake 2. Assassin's Creed. Shadow's everyone's favourite game.
Yeah, it does look good though. Little Hogwarts
I thought they
Legacy.
would show some like upcoming games rather than just like a bunch of old games to get people excited. It'd be like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
this game's coming up. Be excited.
Yeah, like here's what you can expect with the Pro.
Yeah. Dragon's
Oh, we
Dogma
got Dragon's Dogma?
definitely
No,
needed.
Dragon's Dogma? That's you're right, yeah. Definitely needed. Vertical stand sold separately.
That's pricey, $700. That is
$699.99.
Yeah, you might as well buy
And-
a PC.
Wait, and you gotta buy the stand separately? You know what?
I'm not
Well,
even.
we
I
got a
have
debrief.
disposable income for that, but yeah.
All right, I'm just gonna replay it because we got a debrief for a sec. Like £700. How much dollars was it? Hold on. Whoa, that went a bit quick.
$700 as well, which is
£700. First of all, why are we getting screwed on the conversion?
that's always how it
rate?
is. That's always how it is. Like it's never ever equivalent, but like, bruh, bruh. 800 euros. This looks even worse. That's nuts. That's nearly $1,000. That is crazy. That
You
is
wanna-
mental. This is the best part of the presentation. Old Sony is back, baby.
Yeah, I'm actually like baffled, okay, because I was kind of like I was they were hyping me up. I was like 45% like better rendering on the GPU is massive. Actual 60 FPS, like on your games, even in fidelity mode, is massive. And then they're dropping £700, $700, €800. Like you said, you can actually buy like you're nearing just full on desktop price. You're already over like decent handheld price if you look at like the Steam Deck, for example. That's well over. You could probably get 2 for that price.
No, but like, what are you getting for that £700? That €800? Just a little bit less like flickering in your Spider-Man. Like, they really didn't sell me here on this PlayStation
Hold
Pro.
on, right. We'll keep talking, but let's just have the stuff in the background because like there was. Okay, so how much is the PS5, the regular PS5, like now? Anyone in chat bought a PS5 recently or has seen the prices? Because they've always been up and down. I'm not sure exactly what they're at like right now, but is it? I do a little search on the
It
side.
must be about like 500, right? 500 or 400 at the moment for the PlayStation.
Yeah, between 440 and 530 is what I've got. That's directly from the website, so that depends on the bundle that you get. So you're looking at about £500. So it's around it's 2 to 300 more than the base edition.
Yeah.
Which is that's still a lot. That's like almost 50%. If not more on depending on the button. So it's 50% more. You get 45% better rendering speed, and there was a few other stats that will probably come up soon as well. Obviously the ray tracing and the upscaling and stuff like that. So it's going to be good for like 4K TVs and stuff like that if it's going to have the upscaling. And I think we can all agree that 60 frames, even in fidelity mode, is like it's got to that point where we need 60 frames on our console games. At least that's how I feel. But playing 50% more than 500 is already quite a lot, I feel like,
Yeah.
So
I just think the presentation was not the kind of like marketing beat that they needed to hit. They didn't really sell you on the fact that you're basically, for the value of money that you're paying, which is $700, you couldn't build an equivalent PC that would run the games looking that good with that frame rate, essentially. They just said it was going to play your PS5 games a little bit better.
Yeah, better.
Which is then isn't worth the premium, basically.
but like also like I pointed out and people are pointing out in Get in Chat, there was no disc drive and there wasn't a version with a disc drive. So again, that physical media thing, like that everyone knows, like they're like the way the industry is moving is like phasing it out, right? But there's still a lot of collectors out there, and even I have a few games that I only have on like physical disc. So like my PlayStation 5, which you guys might be able to see it just down there on the camera. That's the disc version. So you're paying you're paying like over 50% more. You lose the disc drive. I want to point out as well, 26, it said you have to buy the stands separately.
Separately, another $100. Let's go.
I just find that crazy. It was like
they upped the price of controllers the other day as well by like another $5. Bro, you're getting your pockets.
Hold on, you know what? All right, I'm completely in line, but I'm gonna play the other side. Okay, I'm gonna play the other side.
Yeah, go on.
All right, so 26. You're the side of like £700, and I'm the side of PlayStation 5 Pro rules. Okay, so 26, but it has a larger GPU. It has 45% faster rendering, and that can mean that both performance and fidelity mode can have 60 FPS in your favorite games, possibly with performance mode going over 100 FPS on your favorite games.
But did you see a noticeable difference? Like a fully noticeable difference? I'm talking about going from medium to high on like your PC.
But yes, because of the new upscaling and ray tracing technology that utilizes AI, so in things like reflections as well as distant.
But did you notice it? Is the question that I'm asking you.
Of course, T6. This is the best console that's ever made. So look right here. Look, fidelity mode with the PlayStation 5 Pro. Smooth.
You notice the frames. You can definitely notice the frames.
Frame. Look at the frame difference. Or, admittedly, my camera is blocking a little bit of the old one, but guys, just take my word for it. The frame difference. So, better frames, bigger graphics card inside. I have to break character for a second, because do you think this AI stuff and the upscaling and the rendering require, like, I know that there is a need for a physical chip to do some of this, but do you think any of it could be like software patched into the old one?
No, but I think they already have upscaling in the old consoles, and that's how they do checkerboard rendering to things. So they splice up pixels at a low resolution. So they take like a 720p image and then they bring it up. Somebody was saying the other day, I think it was Final Fantasy 16 or something, was a 720p like image, and then the base image was blown up to whatever 1080p or 1440p or 4K or whatever you're playing it at, basically. But this is probably taking that machine learning stuff to another level and have some like new technique that they're
Let
using
me
on top of that,
broach
which is
this
really cool.
question to you 26 and everyone in chat.
Yeah.
It costs around like 250, like 200 to 250 more, okay, than the base. If you could just spend 200, 250 to upgrade, would you do it? Does that make it worth it? Because
That's a
now,
good way to think about it, but it's not going to be 250 because you're not going to get the trade-in price for the upgrades. So it's a full 700 that you're actually playing or whatever. And I don't know, Game or GameStop in America, they're gonna like rob you as well. So you're gonna get double robbed on the way down. You're not gonna get the value.
yeah,
of your
you never
console.
get a good deal when you trade in. But like, imagine if it could be like some kind of like modular physical slot in that like you know upgrades it, like in Astrobot, it had when you find the parts of the PlayStation on the planet, you could just like slot it in and get the upgrade. But okay, so let me phrase another question. If you didn't have a PlayStation 5, would you be willing to go up from like
Yeah, that's
450
the
to
case, bro.
700? Because it's a big jump still. It's not like between two to 250 pounds is still a lot to add on top of the already fairly expensive cost between of around 500 pounds. So would you be willing to spend that extra 250, obviously knowing that you're not going to have the stand or the physical like disk drive in it? Is that like, are they like, who are they targeting? People that don't have PlayStations?
You're asking the right questions, but I think the real incentive is when we see the games. Like the thing that really makes you want to buy the pro versions is when you're seeing the games run really badly on the old console. So say Monster Hunter Wilds
Mm.
comes out and it's running at like 20 FPS, but you know there's 60 FPS versions out there. I'm spending the £100 the 60 FPS
You're
version of Monster Hunter Wilds.
now you see, now this is a convincing argument.
Yeah.
Let's frame it that way. You're a Monster Hunter player like we are. You and your buddies are playing Monster Hunter Wilds that's just come out. You're on the base PlayStation 5 and you've got 30 frames per second. Your
You don't even
buddy,
have 30. You got less than 30. You got variable.
you
got
have a
stutters, you got
variable,
crashes.
you have a variable 30 frames per second. Your buddy is on the mic and he's telling you, man, this runs so smooth. I got 60 frames per second. I'm in fidelity mode. You're taking down Ray Dow and you've got like over 60 frames in fidelity mode and it just looks better than the base PS5. That's a use case where you feel pretty bad and you might have to upgrade.
Paradise out here, wild.
That's what it's gonna
This
be.
is
You're gonna be in hunts with people. I'm gonna guess they're gonna integrate voice chat in some way, and you're gonna have some guy on the mic, and he's gonna be running the PlayStation Pro, and you're gonna be there on 30 frames. That's I don't like that.
yeah, but the big thing that people are saying in chat, and is a good point, is, and we were talking about it before stream started, Nintendo is gearing up for Switch 2 to be released, and rumors are like it's happening very soon. Um, like if you have a choice between a 700 like bucks PS5 Pro and the Nintendo Switch, obviously they are going to be bangers from PlayStation. They make banging like games in general, but still, Switch, if it can run a bunch of like the current gen games as well, ooh, this is
That is the
a little bit
rumor. Yeah, yeah,
spicy.
hold on.
I'm not
That's the
even.
rumor for the new Switch, right? Is that it's gonna
Yeah,
be like just as powerful as like other major consoles, right? If not like maybe a lower end
not
PC.
powerful, but like able to upscale to run these games in the
I
same
guess
way
the
that
I
like
guess the
DLSS run stuff.
yeah, I guess the question is how, this is the thing, when these other, you know, rumored consoles are going to come out, what their price point will be. Because I
Yeah,
think 700 does like, because yeah, you're not going to be able to build like an incredible PC for 700, but you could still build a PC for that and then upgrade just your graphics card in a couple years, and then you have a very competent PC.
Yeah.
So the draw of consoles was always that they're cheaper and just easier to run and less hassle because you don't have to build something like physically. But if they're approaching like PC price, I don't know. Like it's a weird one, right?
Yeah, that's crazy. They're literally approaching like low-end PC prices at this point. It is kind of nuts. Maybe that's just the way that inflation has worked and prices have scaled up to that much, but I swear it just didn't hurt this much when the pro consoles came out before. Again, inflation, the way that the world is in terms of like of just getting parts manufactured and whatever is just crazy because things are a bit more locked off and tumultuous when it comes to transporting electrical goods around the world. But gosh, not that much, not that much. Really, these prices. Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Keep talking
That's
because I'm just
crazy.
going to do a little check of the PS4 versus the PS4 Pro at launch.
Where are you gonna play? Monster Hunter Wilds definitely probably going to be on PC. I feel like PC affords a lot more like flexibility. If you guys are gamers and you don't have a PC, I would highly suggest that you try to kind of get a PC, a decent PC. I don't think you should go in with a mid-range PC. If you can get a high-end PC, it will change your life. They're super expensive, but they're definitely like worth it as well. The only thing that you have to deal with is if you're playing multiplayer games, tons of cheaters
Oh
and
god,
crashing. Sometimes
it's
you boot up a
so
game
bad.
and it just doesn't want to boot up. And those, as someone that was a console gamer for like the early like 2010s and for basically the most of my childhood, moving over to PC, just being able to customize your stuff and just run on smooth frame rates just feels like a thing. I know loads of you probably play on PC anyway.
Yeah, I mean you're preaching to the choir. Like obviously
Yeah.
that's like my preferred platform as well. I'll say I think at like where we are right now, I think you can get a very good and well performing PC probably for only around. I say only, we're talking
Yeah.
PC prices here for around 1500. I think that could get you. I would say that's probably even higher than mid spec. If maybe if you shop around a little bit, if you're going up to 2000, you're like super high end, right? Um,
Yeah.
that's still a lot more than the 800 of the PS5 Pro here, which is 700. But it's the difference that
Yeah, but with
I
the
don't like that the gap is so close.
PS5 Pro, let's it is very hard sell to sell people on this, but you are getting ray tracing. You're probably not going to get on a £700 pound PC.
Yeah,
You're
yeah, not for a
getting
700. I
60.
mean, yeah,
You're getting 60 on like the newer games, like these games, and you're probably playing it at like high set, lower end PC medium. So you are getting a lot for that 700, but it just doesn't feel right looking at what they're
I'll tell
showing
you
us
what.
in
Yeah, I'm
comparison.
going to tell you what the problem is. The problem is for that price, there is a difference. I'm literally looking at the difference right now, and it is noticeable, but it's not like night and day difference apart from maybe the frame rate, which I think is going to be a big deal. That being said, the thing about PCs is they're modular and upgradable. So you could buy that $700 PC, and like we said, we've literally already talked about this, but you could upgrade the graphics card or the CPU or the RAM over time, and that will bring you like incrementally up and up. And yeah, you're spending more money then, but you will have like a very future proofed piece of tech, right? Um, let's have an interesting talk about the PlayStation 4 and 4 Pro when that launched, because I've got the Google AI overview, so it's hard to fact check because this stuff was released in 2013 and 2016. But it's telling me that the PlayStation 4 launched in 2013 for $399. Okay, so that was the base PS4. The PS4 Pro launched in 2016, that's 3 years later, also at $399, which it says at the time was $10 more expensive than the standard PS4. So if the AI overview is correct, we've gone from a $10 gap to a $200 to $250 gap.
Yeah, back in when I was in school, the price of Freddos used to be 10p. Do you know how much they cost now, Paradise?
They're 20p
30p.
now. No, they come back down. They've
30p.
come down.
30p.
No, I think Freddo's actually come down.
So the things go
No, they
up.
are still 30p. Okay, they I thought they came back down, or maybe a different.
This is the gaming version of your favorite chocolate bar going up in prices. What is the American version of that, by the way? Like, do you guys have a chocolate, or what is your version, your country's version of that thing that used to be like relatively cheap, sweet or candy or whatever, but now is like double or triple the price? You guys all have to have like one of those in your country, I'm guessing.
Well, look, obviously everyone's aware of inflation, but that doesn't. But you're going, but 26, you're going from $10 difference to $250 difference. So I don't think inflation hasn't 25x'd in 8 years. So,
but this time they had to include cores for the AI as well, right? So it's not just the GPU cores that they're expanding and a little bit of the CPU boost, which is what usually happened in the last generation. They also had to include like the tech for the AI and research and development into that stuff. So it was a bit different.
I mean, obviously everything's different over time and technology advances like exponentially, but still 25 times more expensive of a price gap.
Yeah.
Since the last Pro, which was only 8 years ago. That does seem kind of nuts. But what I will say is this seems like once in a while there will be 60 FPS on PlayStation 5 Pro. So people were wanting 60 FPS, and I think that it looks like it probably will be.
Yeah.
That being said, I think we'll probably play on PC anyway, right? 26. So
the real question is like, will Wilds be on Switch 2? And what will it be running at if it is on Switch 2?
That's great. There's no way they could get. No, it can't be 60 on Switch 2, can it?
Definitely.
Unless it's like really low res and upscaled like massively. Like, what if you're actually playing it on like less than 720p, but it looks like 1080p, and you get 60 FPS?
I don't know. They couldn't even run it like 60 FPS on PS5, so I don't know.
No, that's a good point. I mean, if it's on Switch 2, again, like we'll have to see the price point for the Switch, and we'll have to see what the performance is saying. But here's the thing: it has to perform at least like decently, regardless. Because if we look again back at like World that launched on PC, that was a port, and that was pretty rough. So it depends how they like port the game to all these different platforms. It's like there's a genuine worry that Wilds could be a bad port on PC at launch, which is what we've seen previously, right? So maybe that's a case for PlayStation 5 Pro. If you want like probably a smooth launch experience, it's probably going to work pretty well on PlayStation, right? So like that's a factor to consider.
Just in general though, the PS5 is like, if we're not talking about the Pro though, the PS5 is have like such good games on it. There's been a couple of consoles that dropped and I haven't like necessarily played as many games on but the PlayStation 5 has definitely had like some real good bangers released. Like, what's your favorite PlayStation games that have released for you guys?
Yeah. What are you guys liking? To be fair, that's quite like, you know what was like a launch? I think it was a launch title for the PlayStation 5. It was Demon's Souls. They had it in this. Like, that was so good.
You know what's gonna make you buy this? I know what they've done here. They're gonna come out and they're gonna be like, Ghost of Tsushima 2 is going to be 30 FPS on the old consoles and 60 FPS. I'm going to have to buy Ghost 2 on PS5 Pro.
For the exclusives.
Because it's going to be exclusive, not only to be on PC. Like, so
no, that's brutal. Bro, that's brutal. I don't like that. You're totally right. No, that's like, that is the biggest like pushing factor, is like what banger what like the the next like Last of Us or Ghost of Tsushima, the last episode of the 7 remake trilogy, as well as just whatever else is in the works that I can't even think of, like whatever the next God of War game is going to be, like that kind of stuff. And you know they're going to be designing it around the Pro.
Yeah, Ghost of Tsushima is just different though. Like it's that game, and it's gonna look good. You know, the studio's just gonna be in their bag because it's the second game in the series as well. So they're just gonna iterate on it in like some crazy ways. It's been a while since we heard from them. The multiplayer in that game was just so. It's one of those games that has been like re-released and like remastered that is still in memory, but forgetting that number two's on the horizon is gonna be so good.
Yeah, people are pointing out like everyone is wanting that Bloodborne like
Yeah.
remake or remaster or whatever, and I don't know that there's any word on that, but you know that's definitely, that would be insane on the Pro. Also, whatever the next Spider-Man game is, that will be insane. Oh yeah, GTA 6. Someone put
GTA
that in
6 is a
chat.
huge one as well.
Oh my god, they've
That's
got
not going to be on
us.
PC as well. They're not going to be. That's not going to be on PC for like
Nah,
the
they
first
know
year.
what they're doing. Like I don't. Okay, consoles like generally are sold at a loss, right? Like just in
Yeah.
general, the console like wars is basically you don't make money on the consoles, you make money on the games. So the price point maybe is helping them close that gap of like of it being more profitable for the actual consoles. But do you think perhaps also they're willing to, because like we said, it's a $10 difference with the PS4 and 4 Pro. Do you think they're widening that gap because they're so confident in their upcoming exclusives? They know people are going to go for it
No,
because they
if you
want.
look at what the stats they said 75% of people choose performance mode. They are basically knowing that they can sell it for a higher price, probably.
Oh, right, they have the
They've
stat.
got us. They've
They
got
know
us.
they're like 75% of gamers want 60 frames, so we're gonna put it out there for $700. That's
And then
crazy. I don't know. I'm conflicted on it, to be fair. I obviously I think that the improvements are needed and look great. I think I can see the difference in the upscaling. I can see the frame difference in this demonstration. But yeah, the price is just the thing that's like confusing. But maybe that's where things are headed. Maybe the consoles are heading into like PC price, and it's going to become um that you know the price will become less of the selling point as much as like the ease of use and the exclusive games.
yeah. PS5 Pro feels like what PS5 should have been. Yeah, but the technology matures, do things goes on. But I definitely feel you. Like people were expecting to play all these new games at 60 FPS, even if that was a dream, um, to be able to do. That's what the expectation of the consumer was, even though the technology didn't match that expectation. And remember, these
Yeah.
consoles need to be made so far in advance for like manufacturing and production lines and stuff like that. So I definitely get what you're saying, but I don't think packing that at that price point at that time.
I think as well, like if they've just got around to release like announcing the Pro now, and the PlayStation 5 released in 2020, it's like if yeah, like maybe it is what it should have been, but if like the reality is if we wanted it to be what it should have been, it would be releasing, 4 years, 5 years later. So,
Yeah.
like, would we rather have had the PlayStation 5 base for the last 4 years with all the exclusive games, or have waited, 4 or 5 years to get the actual like 60 FPS version? I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, but it is a point as well. Like the no disc thing, you have to factor that into the price as well. So they're basically cutting out $80 worth of cost, as well as layering on this £200 like increase. So it's actually like like
Hold
800.
on, is it up for pre-order? Because I want to see how much the stand costs. I can't get over the fact that they've removed an option to get the disc and then charging you for the stand. Because I'll all right. You know what? I'll even admit, you can see my PlayStation's down on its side. I very rarely have it stood upright, but I like that it's got the option. I've got the standard, it slides in underneath it to support it, and you have the option. Um, let's have a
But
look.
like
Is it up?
it's just one of those things where the majority of us will buy our games digital. I know there's people that physically collect those games as well. Keep on doing that. Game preservation is like a really cool thing to do. But it's I've never seen it go well when a company's like, "Oh, we're gonna get rid of the disc drive." Like, so didn't
It's a weird
didn't
choice.
they clown on Xbox for doing it as well? So it's wild.
I have some extra information for you guys from the description of the video. So, um, It basically says advanced ray tracing, super sharp image clarity for 4K TVs, and high frame rate gameplay. This means you can play PS5 games with the most impressive visuals ever on the PlayStation 5 console, and this is the new bit, with a 2 terabyte SSD storage included. And it can play games at both 60 and 120 hertz display. So it comes with 2 terabyte SSD like already like as like the base, I guess. So that's good to know. I'm trying to think what size I think my PlayStation's a terabyte, 500
You know
gig,
what
a
they did?
terabyte.
You know what they did? They saw the scalpers on the original PlayStation 5 release, and they were like, "I need to get some of that money."
You don't. Oh no, you've actually just raised a very valid concern. If these are undersupplied, and it's going to be
Yeah,
another situation of no one can buy a PlayStation 5 and you have to go on eBay. If the already baseline cost is 800, what would the second hand price be? Like the scalper resale price, because it's not going to be good. Um,
yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot to digest and to think about there. I have to say I'm really surprised about the price. I really like the look of what they do of the 45% faster rendering speed and the 60 frames, but the price and the disk drive gone and the stand being sold separately does rub me the wrong way. So
You
it's a
know
lot to
what, as
take
well?
in.
You know what? By the way, Sony, if you want to send us one to convince us that it's worth the time, then sorry, we might have to spend an hour roasting your price point, but it's all right. I'll
I
enjoy my
mean,
60 FPS.
we'll give it a fair trial. I'll plug it in. I'll play
Andrew,
some games. I'll see what it's saying, and if it's good, then we'll see. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. One thing I will say, which is slightly related, is the PlayStation VR is actually really amazing. Like it's the best VR I've tried. So since that's the last new PlayStation thing that I tried, I'm kind of hopeful that the Pro will actually be like game-changingly good. I think going from 30 to 60 is like gonna be a massive improvement for a lot of people. I think there must be some kind of trade up system. I think that's the biggest deal. I think if you can trade up your PlayStation and pay like 200 or 300, people will do it. If you've
yeah,
got to pay like, you know, trade up and still pay like 500 more, that's kind of push it, or 600 more. That's kind of pushing it. So we'll have to wait and see. But any closing thoughts in the chat, guys, about the new PlayStation 5 and its reveal? Because
Greg
there's a lot
says
there's a lot to
I
digest.
can't see the value proposition with this thing, and that's what the main thing at the price point. It needed to come down to like 599 or like around 599 for people to be like, okay, cool, that was an acceptable price point. But the 700 is just like new. It must be something psychological, but it just looks very dirty, basically. So
Yeah, I have to say, I was expecting 600. I was maybe expecting like maybe 650. But going up to that 700, that just seems like taking the cake.
yeah,
It's not in the budget. It's not worth it. Pro target market is people who already own a PS5. Yeah, Nick, I agree, but that's what I'm saying about the trade up. Like, it really depends what the trade up will be. Because if you already have a PS5, I don't see a world where you're willing to spend another 700 for that upgrade. You know what I mean? So it really depends on how the trade system, whatever, wherever you go to and you trade it up. We
yeah,
appreciate you. Thanks for covering this and offering us spin. Oh, thanks, Sparks Game. I appreciate it. Always glad to. Oh, we always want to do more stuff like this, 2-6, don't we? So
yeah.
it's cool. It's cool that we can. Um,
We gotta wrap
yeah,
up now.
a lot of there's a lot of diverse opinions on there. I think we've covered everything that we can at least think of for now. It's a lot to take in, but yeah, it's an interesting one. I'd love to know your guys' thoughts, like in the comments below afterwards as well. So do tell us what you think, and we're gonna have more videos coming very
Wait,
soon.
before
Monster
we
Hunter
go,
Wilds and good stuff. Yep.
before we go, guys, could you just do me a favor and just say goodbye by hitting that like button? It would just boost up the video. It was a bit of a fun little stream here. We got to chat about the PlayStation. It was a good time, you know?
That's just it. With the streams,
But
guys, the likes are actually like really impactful. Um, we don't like to like beg, but sometimes you know, it's the algorithm. You know what I'm saying, guys? So
Like
thank
beg.
you.
That's why I asked for that nice like beg. No, I don't like it, please, guys. I don't want to be like begging. Get out of here with that.
It's good for the algorithm, though. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Have a great day. We'll be back with more Monster Hunter Wilds and other of your favorite games very, very soon.
Bye.